Like clockwork, we're back here again for another PS Plus update, extra premium for July. We're here to cover another smaller offering with a couple bangers. It seems like that's been the trend going for these updates. Premium looking pretty good again, like it was last month. So I think, at least right now, there's a bit of a cadence as to the way they want to release these games. Let's take a look at what we got in this update. The two bangers for sure. Remnant 2, definitely if you are a Souls fan or a fan of Remnant from the Ashes 1 and you haven't checked this one out, good opportunity to do this one. This is the one I'm most interested in, Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion. Bang. This one is a good one to have in here, especially if you haven't played it yet and you have played Remake and Rebirth. This is the prequel to those games, so definitely a good one to put in your library. Now, I was doing research for this next game, Mountain Blade 2 Bannerlord, and I found out that on PSN Profiles only 0.08% of people registered with this game, because it's an opt-in service, but the people who have this game, only 0.08% of those people have the Platinum. And I looked deeper into it, and it's to do with some issues getting the multiplayer trophies. So this is indeed a very, very rare plat, probably one of the rarest we've covered on here, and it's also going to be a hard plat to get, considering that maybe not hard from the traditional standpoint, but getting the trophies in the multiplayer mode, a pain in the ass apparently. So there's that. Then we go down to the Jackbox Party Pack 9. That's great because I do love me some Jackbox. It makes for some really entertaining time. However, this one has no Platinum trophy. I think the other games don't have a Platinum either. I'm not sure about that, but get all the trophies anyways. Jackbox is a good time. Then we have another game that I don't want to spoil too much, but this one, another hard one, another tough one. By the way, Remnant 2 is also a tough trophy, tough Platinum, 6 out of 10. We'll get into that as well. But this one in particular, if you read the title of the video, we'll get into it. We'll get into it. There's no rush. No More Heroes 3. That is awesome to have this in the service, to be able to play this excellent game. And on top of that, they gave us the prequel as well, Travis Strikes Back No More Heroes Complete Edition. Two very different games. Like, Travis Strikes Back is a very, very different kind of game than the traditional No More Heroes games. No More Heroes 3 is more like 1 and 2. But it's good to have both of them in there. Unfortunately, there's no trophy guide for No More Heroes 3. So again, there's another hard trophy, another hard Platinum to get in this update. This update has a lot of hard Platinums in it. So there's that. Then there's another game, it's called Deadcraft. Zombie survival action game. I think it's kind of like State of Decay. No trophy guide for this one either. So I will be covering, I think, less games this update. And then there's Steep, which apparently has been in the service before. This is a Ubisoft game, and as a trend, like games that have been in here before and they're Ubisoft games keep getting re-added. We saw Watch Dogs get re-added. We saw Far Cry 4 get re-added. Now Steep. So they're just every month re-upping. Put another one that maybe we have put in already, or maybe we haven't, just put it in the service. So interesting, what Ubisoft is doing there. Then we get down to premium, and of course now they are putting VR games in the premium tier. So we have Job Simulator VR, the PSVR 2 version. So there is that. There's also a PSVR 1 version as well. So if you have the original one, you can check that out. Otherwise, if you do have PSVR 2, you get a game here to play, although it is an older game at this point. This one was interesting. I believe this is a Volition game. It's a PS2 classic called Summoner. I'm not sure if it's going to get trophies or not fully sure. But it's here. The one that made me smile and also grin my teeth and grind them to a fine dust. Ratchet & Clank Size Matters. Now I'm happy that this game is coming, but I'm also realizing how much I really don't like this game, and depending on how the trophies shake out, I'm either going to love playing it again or hate playing it again. So we'll see how that turns out. Maybe I'll do a separate video covering those trophies when it comes out. We'll see. But I'm ultimately, more Ratchet games to the service is a good thing. So there's that. Lastly, Jeanne d'Arc. This is a level 5 game that is a cult classic on the PSP. Very well loved JRPG game, or is it tactics? Well, it's very loved by people back on the PSP. So there's that. And those are your games for this update. And now we can talk about the easiest and hardest games of the update. So the easiest has to be the Jackbox Party Pack 9, even though there's no Platinum Trophy. When you're strictly talking about just Platinum Trophies, you're looking at Job Simulator VR. We'll cover that later on. But the hardest games, there are quite a few in this one. And it starts with Remnant 2. Then you have Mountain Blade 2 Bannerlord. I already talked about how 0.08% of people on PSN Profiles who have this game have the Platinum. That's very, very low. This game right here, Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous, and No More Heroes 3. So there are certainly a lot of hard games. This is a much more difficult update this month. But now let's get into our first game of the update. We have to go with the headliner, Remnant 2. Now it says here it's a 4 out of 10 if you're playing with a friend. Okay, but if you're doing this solo, it's more of a 6 out of 10. And I checked another guide to see what they thought about this game, and they also said it was a 6 out of 10. So there are some missable trophies in this. Blue Goddess, Familiar Face, and Not a Janitor is also semi-missable. So we'll get into those trophies in due time. But it says here this Platinum is 20 plus hours, which is actually not that bad. That's not bad at all. However, it is a bit luck dependent considering things are procedurally generated. But PowerPix has a full guide for this, along with a ton of smaller guides that'll give you all gun locations, all trait locations, all relic location, all weapon model locations, how to get all archetypes. So there are some collectibles to this as well. And I think those trophies that are missable are story related, so I want to go away from that. I'm not gonna cover it here. You guys can take a look, but just looking through this, there are some interesting trophies. Only Human, defeat a boss in single player without taking any damage. Okay, that's definitely one of those types of trophies that will boost you up to a 6 out of 10. Then there are a lot of stuff for acquiring and crafting weapons. So you have those guides for the melee weapons. Here you want to acquire 20 melee weapons. Then you have the archetype ones as well. I think the game is coming from an aspect where it's more of a natural difficulty because of the bosses themselves. The other stuff is seems like collecting scrap. So 100,000 scrap, and it says here that you can boost it. If you're lucky, you can find the Scavenger's Babel Amulet in Yaisha, which grants you a 50% boost in scrap. However, where you find it is totally random. Okay, well, there is a way to boost that. You just need the right item and some luck. There is that RNG aspect of it. So there are certain things in the game that you have to collect and certain things that you have to do. It's more, the difficulty seems to be from the game itself rather than difficult trophies. I'm not getting that from this. So I think it's more of a trophy guide that you're going to want to like dig in yourself as you play, use it as a reference, even though the levels are procedurally generated. But that is what this game is offering. 6 out of 10 difficulty, 20 hours. I don't find that so bad. It's just going to be a tough experience right from the get-go. Okay, here we go. Crisis Core, 4 out of 10 difficulty, 40 hours. And I see a ton of missable trophies. Oh boy. And it says, before beating the game, you can change the difficulty to hard mode in options and beat the final boss and earn Soldier of Legend. Okay, cool. So you don't gotta do the work of playing through the whole game on hard mode. So that comes with the one playthrough kind of thing. But unfortunately, most of these side activities have trophies that are highly missable. There is no chapter select after the game is finished, and collectible progress does not carry over to New Game Plus. If you'd like to platinum the game in one playthrough, you need to follow a guide for collectibles and miscellaneous trophies. That kind of sucks, but good thing the game is not as long as the other two. Certainly not as long as Rebirth, which is much, much longer than I think this game and Remake combined. It's probably longer than both those games. But as you can see here, there are a ton of missable trophies, at least one in every chapter. So that's something you'll have to look out for. You got some trophies for completing the game, of course. Each chapter has its own trophy. And then outside of those missable trophies, you have collectible stuff and mission-based stuff. It says here, complete 100% of all missions, so you gotta do everything in the game. And you also have complete 100 progress for all DMW. This guide is not helping explaining what this is. I think it has something to do with the slot machine mechanic that's in this game. Okay. I know there is like that slot machine mechanic. That it is actually not horrible. It's actually kind of cool how it works. But, of course, there's that random element to it. But then you also have stuff like collect all Genji equipment, received mail from all senders, unlocked all shops. So there are a bunch of collectible things. And then the rest of it is focused on those missable trophies that are inside of those chapters. Aside from, of course, the Soldier of Legend trophy. Clear the game in hard mode. You just have to do the last chapter in hard mode. So you can still do it in one playthrough. You just switch before you beat that last part of the game, which you'll be armored up because you've been doing everything you need to do for this game. You're ready for that hard mode version of the last boss. Oh, there's a trophy here. Dealt 99,999 damage to an enemy for the overpowered trophy. Of course, we love doing that in RPGs. Not that I would know, I don't play that many RPGs, but I assume that's what people want. They want max damage. So there is that. That is Crisis Core. A little bit different from the way the Remake and Rebirth Platinums play out, but still probably the easiest of them, of the set of games, especially considering how grindy and difficult Rebirth ended up being for the Platinum Trophy. 40 hours, 4 out of 10 is not as bad as 6 out of 10 for Remake, and I think 7 or 8 out of 10 for Rebirth. Not as bad. Okay, so this is the game I alluded to in the title. There is a 10 out of 10 game in this update, and as you can see, it is Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous. I think this is like a Diablo kind of game. Yeah, looking at this, holy shit, look how many missable trophies first off there are, and then you have difficulty specific trophies. And looking down here, it says you have to beat the game on unfair difficulty. And it says, this is it, the infamous unfair difficulty you might have heard about. This stage has only one goal: complete the game on the highest difficulty that the game has to offer. Be warned that you will be saving often and reloading even more often on this brutally unfair difficulty. It really deserves its name and is going to take patience, focus, and careful planning. To make this playthrough somewhat bearable, these are the words they're using in this guide. Take as much rest as you need, complete as many side quests and optional objectives as possible. Loot everything, sell the unwanted, and take things slow. You will need to beat the story, so don't limit yourself. Ascension is a game-spanning trophy you might want to keep an eye out on for this. But it's no big deal if you miss out on it, and it will make you slightly less powerful than you could otherwise be. Against all odds, through trials unthinkable, you ascended as a true demigod. And I think it's okay. I think it's there's different endings to the game, so you can end it off differently. There's 3 different endings to it. Oh, okay. I was about to say, if they said unfair was the hardest difficulty, but here it says sadistic game design playthrough. Now that you've completed the game on unfair, it's time to take it down a notch and fulfill the sadistic game design requirements as described in the in-game encyclopedia. Here's what you'll need to do: complete the whole game in core difficulty or above, complete your mythic transformation, okay, defeat Khorramzadeh, oh my god, that name. Khorramzadeh's army in crusade mode, difficulty must be standard. Don't rest more than 75 times, so you have a save limit. Find and kill all the optional bosses at the earliest chapter possible. Oh, okay. And then it says here, Ascension, true ending, which is optional. It involves making certain choices as early as the prologue and as late as the final boss. So you're going to want to check out the Ascension trophy itself. And then you got cleanup, so you still have even more trophies that you need to clean up. It says 2 playthroughs, which you assume is your unfair difficulty and the sadistic game design playthrough. I think that is going to be more than 3 playthroughs eventually. It sounds like you kind of want to go through this game and get used to it first, and then decide to do it on the unfair difficulty. This game sounds like an absolute fucking nightmare of a game. I can see it definitely hitting 350 hours just reading out some of the descriptions of the trophies and what you have to do in this game. Oh, holy smokes. Yeah. 10 out of 10 sounds about right for this. This sounds like a incredibly difficult platinum. And I haven't heard anything about how difficult this platinum is. Not many people must have this. Like, let me see. Yeah, there you go. 0.1 for sure. 1.12%. Not as bad as the other game, Mountain Blade 2, which was 0.08%, but it sounds like there's problems with the online. This is just difficult of a game. Sounds like a complete freaking nightmare, and there are lots of DLC trophies. That's just the base game. There are also, keeps going, 10 trophy add-on sets. 10, and most of them are 0.1 trophies. Hell, if you're looking for something rare that nobody has, yeah, sure, go ahead, play this game and try to get 100%, because sure as hell nobody is going to have the trophies. And then you look at your list and see, oh, look at all these 0.1% trophies I have. Sure, go for it. If you're up to the challenge, go for it. I sure as hell am not. I already fear this game. So from one extreme to the complete opposite, you have Job Simulator VR, which is a 1 out of 10 difficulty, 1 playthrough, and 4 hours of your time. So I did say this was the easiest game in the lot, and it certainly is, because you can do it in 4 hours, and there are a bunch of trophies here that are just related to doing things in the game, and they're all gold trophies, which is neat. That's always a plus. And it sounds like most of them are kind of like story related, and of course you will need to use, if you're playing the PS4 version of this, you will need 2 move controllers to use with the headset, those old tech, but you will have your Sense controllers with you if you're playing the PS5 PSVR 2 version. So this is very easy to do. I just wanted to put it here as a comparison to Pathfinder, because Pathfinder looks insane as hell. When we take a look at the games that I can recommend to you, I really don't know, because it's such an interesting bag of games. Like, the one I can definitely recommend to you off the bat is Crisis Core, because I think the Final Fantasy VII games rule. I haven't played Rebirth yet, but one day I will, and Crisis Core will be the game I play before that, because if I want to play it in the way it's supposed to be played, yeah, Crisis Core goes in the middle. I think that's a fair thing to do. As for 2 more games that I can kind of recommend, it's hard to really say. I guess I'd put Remnant 2 next. If you like Souls games, it's a lot of people talk about this game as being great, and I think it is great. Other than that, I guess No More Heroes 3 as the next one I can recommend. But I have not personally tried that game out myself. I don't know how different it is from the first 2 games which I've tried. Both very good games, very fun games. I assume it's not that different, but check it out as well. I definitely don't recommend that Mountain Blade 2 game, because you probably won't get the plat because of some stupid online reason. Doesn't say the servers are down, by the way. It just says that the servers don't work properly, and grinding out the game is a pain in the ass because no one's playing it. Maybe this might help with the update being here, being front and center on PS Plus. Maybe this might help a little bit. Pathfinder. That game looks hard as balls, and good luck and Godspeed to you if you want to try and just get the platinum, never mind 100%. So that's this weird update. Let me know down in the comment section if you've had any experience with these games, or if you're going to check some of them out. Let me know what you think. Of course, subscribe to the Platinum XPerience for more videos like this. I hope all your trophy hunting expeditions, not playing Pathfinder, go incredibly well. And of course, if you're going to play Pathfinder, I hope it goes incredibly well for you as well. And peace out.